Good morning. Welcome to the third day of this Barcelona meeting point from this room, the PropTech room. Welcome. Good morning. Benvinguts. As you can probably imagine, also because it's been perceptible over the past few days, this has been an atypical year at Barcelona meeting point because it's happening at the same time as a very complex situation in the city. As a result, the format will not be changed. We will keep working as planned, but we do understand that perhaps there will be fewer attendees as originally expected. Having said that, I would like to congratulate and thank all of the speakers that have made it here over the past couple of days, all those who have intervened here, who have renewed their commitment to Barcelona meeting point, because they have provided us with a lot of information, valuable expertise that will surely help us make progress in the short and medium term in our respective businesses. So I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you before moving on to the several activities that we will carry out throughout the day. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Josep Jorge. I represent Teknova, which is the organizing entity of the past edition at PropTech here at BNP. This specific space was inaugurated last year, and it aims to attract all of those businesses that are revolutionizing the real estate sector. So companies that have propositions for professional clients in terms of startups, for example, as well as in terms of B2B. And we've also invited companies that have proposals for the final user, for the end user, B2Cs. So there is a high number of firms that have proposal aimed at transforming this sector by empowering professionals. B2B companies are very well represented here today, and these companies, B2B companies, are the main protagonists of this digital transformation that is occurring within the sector. So we're very, very happy to have them here with us. Our goal is to enrich the current ecosystem, and that's why most of the startups that operate in this context are currently being identified, promoted, and supported by Barcelona meeting point. So at Teknova, we're in charge of this organizational process with a view to helping the sector evolve. Because the real estate sector is very traditional, and it still has a long way to go in terms of innovation. So let me just go back over what we did over the past couple of days. Throughout the 3 days of this event, there will have been 45 speakers joining us. We've organized more than 10 roundtables, 5 excellent keynotes, mostly held by top-class experts in the main topic of this conference, because here we talk about space to service, a new concept that we have defined quite aptly here, and that we'll be hearing of a lot more over the next couple of years. And in this third day, which is the closing day for the professional part, so to speak, of the conference, we thought we would further pay attention to an important aspect in this new phase for the real estate sector, and that's diversity. When it comes to space as a service, what we're really doing is empowering demand. Real estate demand has always been the black sheep of the real estate market, because the real estate market has been traditionally dominated by product, a physical element. Now, in this context that we're currently living, a context of digitalization, product is becoming obsolete, it's becoming a commodity. So what's really affecting the sector is the digital demand and how the sector is expected to adapt to it. And this digital demand is immensely diverse, infinitely diverse, I dare say, because to each and every one of us it's different, and each and every one of us is also an ever-changing individual. So this diversity needs to be acknowledged, incorporated, and strengthened as a transformation element for the real estate sector. So today we'll be kicking off this this session with a round table made up entirely of women. But the round table is not intended for women only. It's for all of us to benefit from, because it's important that we voice all of the opinions of all the protagonists of the real estate sector. And with this roundtable, we want to acknowledge the talent of women entrepreneurs. The 4 people that will comprise the following table represent excellence in the real estate sector. They represent the spirit of Barcelona meeting point and embody the goal of it, which is, well, empowering, strengthening this capacity to create new opportunities for all segments in society. So it's important that all of us make an effort to stay open-minded. Diversity needs to become a value. It is indeed a value, one of the main goals of SDG, which are something that our consortium cares greatly about. Diversity is part of our DNA. It's one of the fundamental pillars of sustainable development in general, along with equality and opportunities regardless of gender and ethnicity. After this roundtable, there will be a number of presentations which will last 10 minutes each, held by the various companies that have taken part here in the PropTech stage at Barcelona meeting point. We have subdivided the presentations by content and topic, so that the audience can choose to attend a particular block of themes. And this space is, well, it's been adapted to your needs as well. What am I trying to say is, feel free to come in and go out as you please, depending on what it is you're interested in. And after each presentation is over, please feel free to go up to the speaker and talk to them, because the feedback of clients, of users, is invaluable. So please do not be shy. Please ask questions. Please make sure you have a chat with each and every one of the participants in their respective stands within this room. I hope I haven't digressed. I was only hoping to convey the importance of the roundtable that's about to kick off. Roundtable which will be moderated by Carmen Ayan, because I believe as a man I've overstayed my welcome. So Carmen, over to you. Thank you. Thank you everyone. Thank you for being here. This is a relevant roundtable to all the presentations that have been held throughout these few days, because the real estate sector is a traditional one, and the quota of women in entrepreneurship in general is low, but the real estate sector is especially traditional. So we wanted, through this round table, to represent women that work in this sector, because again, it's very, very traditional. But I don't want to digress. I'd like to introduce our next speakers: Rebecca Perez, CEO and co-founder of Invirtis; Cristina Toyo, CEO at 1001 Portals; Irene Trujillo Felix, CEO and founder of Oh My Place; and finally, the moderator, Mireia Garcia, CEO at Inomads. Mireia is passionate about digital transformation. She regards it as a new revolution, as a new way of doing business. She's been working as a project leader in transformation for over 20 years, and she's been focused on sustainability and excellence. She currently works, as I said earlier, at Inomads and Innovation Hub for Real Estate. So, Mireia, anytime now. The floor is yours. Thank you. You can hear me, yes? Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I do realize it's a bit of a strange day, but thankfully we've all made it. I'd also like to thank our three speakers, in particular Irene, because she came from Madrid, and not everyone today would have dared come from Madrid. So thank you, Irene, Christina, and Rebecca. I'd like to introduce our next three speakers very, very briefly. Of course, they will talk about their own companies in more detail, because these three companies are highly transformative for the sector. Let me start off by introducing you to Rebecca Perez, CEO and co-founder of Invirtis. Rebecca recently won an award, PropTech Woman for 2019, so congrats, Rebecca. Cristina Toyos is CEO and founder of 1001 Portals. She'll be talking to us in more detail about the company in a minute. And then Irene Trujillo, CEO and founder of Oh My Place. So, Cristina, if you'd like to start us off by telling us a little bit about 1001 Portals and what it is you do there. Well, 1001 Portals is a real estate ad platform. I had some personal experience in the real estate sector, 15 years experience, and that's where I got the idea from. We realized that it took us a long time to publish an ad, up to 5 minutes per house, and there were lots of platforms, portals, where we could have possibly published our ads. So we thought we'd automate this system. So our platform works with 80 different portals. Ads are put up in an average time of 3 minutes. We've created a database, and then we optimized it so as to make information apt, sort of suitable for each and every portal, and that's what our platform does. It optimizes information, adapting it to each and every portal. Average time that a user needs to put up an announcement, 3 minutes. And the system was developed for professionals, of course, all kinds of professionals. But we've also got users for large companies, franchises, so 200 agencies as opposed to 1 or 2 users that can be at a smaller firm. Digital users like to work on their own, to take charge of what they do. So this platform is also intended for landowners who want to sell or rent their property. The platform has different functions. So we've got different professionals that use our portals, small firms, large firms, private citizens. We've got about 500 private sellers, retailers on our platform every month, which is an interesting number. So this is the 80 portals we work with. We have Idealista, Pesos.com, and Ya Encontré. Large portals, but we've also got small portals, and as some portals, we also found that some portals actually come into being and then disappear very, very quickly. But anyway, There are some portals, of course, that take the lion's share. Large firms can have a turnover of about 64 million euros a year. Smaller portals sometimes suffer. We're aware of that. For example, in the part of co-working, tertiary sector, again, co-working, because the residential market is very, very well covered by the current portals. So that's how we work. The plans we offer our users are very, very cheap. There's a free one, €9.99 a month and 15 euros a month. That's for private users, individuals, and then we've got professional plans. We've even got some users like Housel that post about 5,000 ads a month. So that's us. That's our adventure. Thank you, Rebecca. What do you do at Inviertes? Right. So we'll also be giving a TED talk, so we can give you more information on that later. But anyway, we operate in real estate investment. We've come up with a solution for a property that already has tenants. We analyze that property and we provide investors with information on that property. We also provide them with a decision-making tool that is very, very thorough, so that investors have all the tools they need to make decisions. And that's what we do at Inviertes. We have digitalized that. Seeing as we've been talking about digital customers, we have digitalized, as I was saying, a number of processes in terms of real estate investment. That was our goal. That's what we have been working towards. Christina, Oh My Place. Sorry, Irene, Oh My Place. Does that change the traditional business model? Can you explain to us a little bit about Oh My Place? Well, Oh My Place is based on the assumption that society evolves more quickly than we do. There is a niche of society that can't find what they're after in the real estate sector, so that's where we come in. We're talking about co-living, but the formula that is generally used is quite generic. What is co-living? In co-living, you enjoy private space within a property, but at the same time, you share experiences with other users within the same property. People who want privacy, but at the same time want to share experiences with other people whenever they want. So it's all about the flexibility. That's what these people are after. What's the difference between co-living and, for example, a student housing or flat sharing? Three differences. The design of the space itself is different, number one. Our clients, our users are more demanding. You basically know what your neighbors are up to because of Instagram, social media, and so on. So maybe you see people living in a certain way and realize, well, I want that. Not everybody can afford it, or not everybody is able to transform their home into what they desire. So that's what we provide them with. Second difference, sustainability. We believe in sustainability. And there's been a lot of talk recently of solar panels, but that only seems to apply to new buildings. But there's a lot we can do with old buildings, like home automation, lots of innovation, because that's something that society is after, and we can give a contribution in that regard, and that's what we strive to do. So sustainability. And then third difference, the real difference between traditional rental, the service you offer and how that service is managed. In the real estate sector, especially in rental, things are being done like they were 300 years ago. Mr. John opens the door for you with keys, and that's it. That's your home. And then you have to furnish the house yourself. You even have, I don't know, perhaps to clean the kitchen and so on. That's what happens traditionally. But for example, when you walk into a hotel, you know what you're going to find in the room, and you know what kind of experience you'll be having there. That's what we offer. You walk into your new home and everything has been set up for you. You walk in, luggage at hand, and your home is ready for you. Your towels hang in, the bed is made, everything is ready, it smells good. Hence, oh, my place. You walk into one of our homes, the flats we rent out, and you think, oh, my place. So that's what we do. Finally, there's another element, and that's community. That's a new thing, really, and young people, millennials, know what this is all about because they were born into a digital world, but other people as well have started to understand what it's all about. It's all about sharing. Some people want to work at home in their privacy, but maybe, I don't know, they want to go to an art exhibition later, or they want to watch the football game later on. That's what we offer. There's always a number of things going on in your cities. Through our portal you get to meet new people. So that's the kind of demand we try to meet. And that's what co-living is at Oh My Place. One of the things that I think we're all pretty much clear about is this revolution, this paradigm shift. This paradigm shift has been caused by clients. Clients are forcing us in this sector and in other sectors to digitalize our processes, to change our chain of supply. Clients are now more demanding. They have more information at their disposal. They can compare us with competitors and with other other services altogether. Clients are very digitalized, very well connected. So this new client profile is something we need to be aware of. I liked a presentation yesterday very much. The speaker said the real estate industry is no longer about real estate, and I completely agree with that. Whenever we talk about Inamax's model, well, I generally say that real estate is about the people who work, who go about their lives, and they have demands we have to meet. So I wanted to ask you, clients have changed, as we said. Each and every one of you work with a different type of clients. I'll be asking about this in more detail later. For example, co-living users, investors in the case of Rebecca, in the case of Christina, it's firms and individual citizens. But anyway, apart from the specific client type that you work with, what are the main characteristics of new users? What are the main characteristics that you need to monitor that have forced you to rethink your businesses? What's important is listening to your client and being aware of what they need. Those of us who have worked in PropTech make hyper-digitalized proposals that our clients can't exactly get their heads over. Clients want digitalization, but you can't really overdo it. It depends on the clients you have. Talking about investors, for example, we work with investors, of course, but we also work with tenants who want to sell or rent their property, to put their property on the market. My platform was sophisticated at first, and I realized that my clients were unable to forward an email. They were able to find me on Google, but they seemed unable to send me emails. So we started working on WhatsApp, and we started receiving documentation through WhatsApp. And I thought that would be very, very clear for clients. And it came to a point where they didn't want to send me the documentation on WhatsApp. So it's difficult, that's what I'm trying to say. We've got investors, of course, that's another type of client for us, and they're very demanding. they're very demanding and they want you to work fast, and there's no betas in that sector. So even there, you've got to listen carefully to what your clients need. You need to put the client at the core of your business, at the center of your business. You need to listen to what they want, what they need, and when they want it and when they need it. If it's digitalization, you also need to be able to interpret the requests they have, and sometimes even as a prop tech you can't just meet all demands. Yes, so it's important to listen to them, to observe them. In startups, those of you who work in startups know this, you need to ask your client, what's the problem, how can I help you? People want to be able to sort out their problems from the comfort of their homes. So we need to offer them simple solutions, we need to listen to them, and we need to provide them with answers.
Well, in the end, this is a question of the age. If we speak about the baby boomers, I am in this group, and from 50 onwards, well, we face situations where the users, even if they use and browse on the online, they are not advanced users. Therefore, the owners who are going to sell a house, most of them is in this age range. And some things we did since the very beginning was providing a telephone contact, because some of them were not able to pay a subscription with a credit card, or they didn't trust, or did pictures on the wrong way. They just didn't know how to take a picture, or they did vertical pictures. These are like small things, and this happens with the owners, and sometimes with some real estate agents who are there for a very long time. They start using the internet and big portals, but you see there's a lack of knowledge there for this age range. These type of users, well, there are different levels. You have some of them who use incredible digital marketing with a high quality picture. Those in Madrid, Barcelona, Malaga, places where there's a lot of competition, and there are mid-sized agencies or big agencies where the quality of service is really good. Then there are other smaller places where the competition is not that high, and maybe this makes people not to be so active. They just take a few pictures, and sometimes they do not take even selling mandate. Well, this is a different way of working. Apart from digitalization, it's important that the professional agents work on a professional way. They work with mandates. That's key, of course. One of the problems we found with the digitalization of the sector is that they are not doing that in the sector. Yes, so that's the key. Sometimes there's a customer phoning you and saying, I do not have the answer I'm expecting, and you see that the ad is in 50 agencies. So the answer is being distributed into 50 agencies. If you work exclusively with digitalization and with so much dissemination means, is very important, because you are the owner of your own product. You are responsible, and you are responsible for the sale. You may collaborate or not, but you are not burning the product, so to speak. So you need to find a balance there. In terms of digitalization, until you really bring or attract this customer, which is your vision, well, in our case, this is more when you already have the customer in the property. They wish to use the telephone for everything. They do not want to make phone calls. From the millennials, it's like a bit intrusive. In fact, why are you phoning me? Send me a WhatsApp, or communicate with me through the app. This needs to be on demand, so no phone calls for millennials. And then apart from that, we were saying that before, when you come into home automation, sustainability, the access to your house from your mobile phone, you can report an incident, maybe there's a tap leaking, for example, anything. I can report anything from your mobile phone, or you can control lighting, temperature, air conditioning, everything is on your mobile phone. So for them, that's fundamental, and this is growing. This is a growing trend. We are using the mobile phone for everything, and this is like an extension of our body. We cannot go against it. But on the contrary, we need to use it as a tool and forget about many things that we are using as of today and focus on that part. We have an app that we continue to develop with these inputs after understanding the needs and the wishes of the customer. We implement new things and the customers adopt them, and there are things that you believe they are going to use and they do not use it that much, so you have to adapt. But the digital part is essential, not only to make them find you, but on a daily basis as well. And how is your current customer, the profile of the customer that is using a co-living? Well, this is very funny. When we launched Oh My Place, the idea was, well, let's imagine who would be coming. And we were thinking about millennials or centennials or all young people wanting to have a beer together. And well, this was very surprising because that was not the case, because we had this type of profile, but these are normally professional young people, more mature or more senior, even older than we were expecting, and adapting to society. I do not want to spend 2 months or 3 months in a hotel because I'm alone. I feel this is a cold environment, this is not my home, and even though I travel for work or for business, I want to be in a comfortable place, and I do not want to be isolated. I want to be in this city, but meet somebody to have a beer with, or let's go out, for example. So this kind of profile is very interesting because the co-living is not only about young people who want to live experiences with others, but also people who are similar to you. Maybe the age doesn't matter as much, but the situation, the personal situation, and the types of things you like and your preferences. There's people who are married and have children, and there's a great diversity there, and this helped us to improve and to adapt the product that we offer. The family nucleus is smaller and smaller. There are single parent families as well. There are people who are divorced, people who travel a lot for businesses or live in different cities at the same time. There's a lot of labor mobility. And we also found a profile of foreigners coming to live to our cities that was not there until recently. Not only tourists, but I'm speaking about professional staff who come to train themselves to Spain or to study for some months. And this is for us something that we were not expecting, and which is opening up, and we found them on our way. In other roundtable, there was a data about 35% of the people living in Barcelona came from out of Spain. They were speaking about 300,000 people, yes, so this is multiplied in the last couple of years. And the profile is professional. The social changes that are taking place lead to the initiatives such as yours. There's another interesting point here. There's more and more mobility, but there's more people coming to the cities. This is a migration that is taking place all over the world, and this is something we're noticing as well, because maybe this is for working reasons, but also for training, because Spain until recently was not in any of the MBA's ranking lists, and Madrid and Barcelona have more and more important business schools or faculties providing high quality education, and they are now finding their place in the world. From the point of view of sustainability, you speak about this mass migration towards cities. Well, there's not enough place for everyone. So the co-living needs to find a response to that, because maybe some people wish to live in a more sustainable way, or not to have a washing machine in 3 different flats if I just have one laundry a week, for example. Yes, when we speak about the sales in the real estate sector, this is funny because part of the society cannot access the property, but part of the society do not want to buy a property. Nowadays, if you don't know where are you going to be living for the next few years, if you work in Barcelona but next day you work in London, what type of house are you going to buy? Because you may have changing needs over time, and maybe in 10 years I may have 2 children and I will need more space. So this is complicated, and people just say, well, I prefer to adapt according to my needs. And the early buy-in by young people is not taking place because young people want higher flexibility and they do not want to commit to putting all their savings in one specific place. And this is happening with other sectors as well. Young people do not want to buy a car, buy a house, buy a motorbike. You just want to use it and live it. And the feeling of I want to have my own motorbike or I want to have my own car, I want to buy my flat, this has disappeared. Well, there's also a question of the purchasing power because salaries, of course, are lower and lower. And even if there is a percentage of people who could buy or would buy, they cannot afford it. So these kind of decisions, mainly in the city centers where the plot of land is so expensive, is going to be a growing trend, and sharing spaces as much as possible. That's another issue, which is a change in the mindset of the society. I think my parents or grandparents, their goal in life was to save, to leave it for the next generation, and we've changed. Why am I going to save? I will save to enjoy this money for me, for my children, but I'm not thinking about buying for the next generation. And it's also demonstrated that yesterday's savings is not worth today. Yes, we've changed, and the idea is to have a good quality of living, to live experiences, to look back and say, well, I enjoyed my life, I had a great life. And the prior generations didn't have that. They didn't go on holidays, for example. They've been working all day long, and that was their only goal. Their success was measured through these kind of things, the way they worked and what they earned. And now we live, or we work to live. The real estate sector is not providing answers to these kind of situations. Well, there are some solutions of flexible housing that enable you to, for the different cycles in life, to reduce or widen spaces. But I also think, I am more conservative than you, that buying a house, it's like a life insurance. When I am retired, I will be able to have a reverse mortgage, long live insurance. I may not leave it for my children and enjoy it myself. Well, we will need to review the financial accounts of that. Maybe it's better to invest it and resell and go with a co-living with elder people. But what will be the pension for that? Let us not talk about pensions, please. I have to say that my property enabled me to be an entrepreneur. Yes, but if you had invested that money, well, I'm saying that according to my model, please buy houses with tenants. Forget about the rest. Buy. It, it is so great. People who want to share spaces, to have health insurance, people preparing the breakfast in the morning, having a place to share. I mean, this is great because either you live, I think about my grandmother when she was very isolated with a girl coming to her house, and, and from that she moved to an elderly residence. This is a trend in Spain, and we're not very mature. This is a cultural issue as well. The elder residences, well, if I have no other chance, I bring my family member into a residence for elderly, but there's an intermediate step. I may be 70 and I have a big flat, but I do not want to live here because I prefer to live in a different type of house. I want to live in the city center, but I don't want to sell my house. And now we see there's a trend of buildings where you find people who are similar to you, your same age, same needs, and you can do things on your own. You can travel, you can practice sports or go to the restaurant, but it's true that you need some kind of assistance for the cleaning, or if it's just two people, you may not want to be cooking and you have a restaurant, you have health assistance. And it's true that in other countries this is more developed, and we start to see this kind of need in Spain. And it's clear that this is going to be the future, because the way of living in a community at a certain age is different. And we have rental houses as well. We have a property with pre-existing spaces that had medium-high purchasing power profiles. And one of them is in the Paseo de Gracia here in Barcelona, and they are renting that because they have their savings and they are renting these type of spaces. Well, there are solutions. Here in Barcelona, you have Las Acacias. That's a very typical solution. It's a bit expensive, but it is becoming the standard now. And there are other initiatives I've heard about, which is the life insurance, and it solves the co-living in other place when you have that specific need, when you start to be dependent or you cannot be so autonomous. And this is like a specialization in the sector. Yes, and in there are also financial sectors specializing in this sector, because you have financial solutions for senior users. One question for Rebecca. In the end of the day, your process is the classical process within the real estate sector, but it is digitalized and adapted to the new types of customers. What kind of difficulties do you face in terms of digitalization of some of the processes? Well, truth be told, I was surprised by, for example, what we were mentioning before, finding that it was so very little digitalized. I also work with professional people. And I'm speaking about huge companies, and you wouldn't even think that they work with an Excel sheet. Yes, they do. They have a macro Excel sheet. So it was surprising for me. First of all, document management. That was key. In any other sectors, I came from the logistics sector. Documents go and come. There are cloud services, emails you download, and this is very natural. However, in the real estate sector, that was not the case. No, sorry, I have to look and see where's the bank receipt. And first, document management was a key. It was fundamental. And then automating many processes, which in the beginning were, well, we call them like a very difficult puzzle. And with zero digitalized processes, like sending an informative email, well, you come into the platform, and if you leave me a message, I can send you an informative message, an email back. Or we've managed to have agile communications with a very easy thing to have a WhatsApp window so that you can chat with me and tell me what's happening, because you are not understanding how the website works, because I don't know how to load a picture, for example. Well, that's another issue. But again, document management was essential, because there was no standardization of the models or the forms. And that's a huge problem, because you cannot even introduce that into a machine. We're working with machine learning to recognize documents so they can identify data, etc. But, if there's a contract from a real estate agency is different to another one from a website. Then if you go to the register to ask for a simple note at the register, it's very different based on where you are. So you cannot have like 8 help desks taking a look at the different documents. That's one of the things that we've found. I would like to leave like 10 minutes for Q&A, so I will finally ask you one question to each of you, because you are experts in like different sectors. What do you think is going to happen in the next few years? What do you think the transformation of this sector is going to be? Are you optimistic? Well, there's one thing related to what Rebecca was saying. I think the registrar issue for rental as well as for sale and purchase will need to go through blockchain. Maybe the notaries will have a role or the registrars will have a role, but these information or documents need to flow on that way. And this will avoid a lot of fraud, because currently a big problem that we find in real estate platforms and agencies are fraud, mainly in rental. There are many fake ads, and as there is a lack of supply, there are really high prices, and people really fall into that trick. If you see an ad in Paseo de Gracia here in Barcelona for 800 euros, you should probably think this is going to be a fraud. But there's people who believe it, or they want to believe it, and sometimes they phoned us because they believe we are the owner, asking whether this ad is really correct or true. It's a pity that we didn't have time to speak about trust, because that's another topic. If this whole information would go through blockchain, we would not give ground for anyone not having a mandate for the rental or to sell to be able to advertise anything. In the end, I think exclusivity is the way we should work. We were also mentioning when we were preparing the roundtable the question of trust and confidence. It's true that this is a sector where personal relations is important, and digitalization shouldn't make us lose this kind of trust. But if you wish, we can. Well, that's very good, but it's true that we are mixing different topics. But yes, let us digitalize many things. We are going to automate many things. And blockchain, well, I love it, and I'm really hoping for the notaries to come into blockchain. That's my last value proposal, the last thing I would like to do. But we are not going to lose contact with people. I think there's a generalized fear, maybe by the user or by the sector, I'm not sure, that we lose human contact, and that's not the case. There continues to be people there, and technology makes everything more efficient, but it's people who provide the value to each process. But I do believe we're going to end up in scenarios where interconnected houses or documents, we're not going to touch paper anymore, and this is going to help to avoid fraud attempts. It's very funny, but we have a property in Tarragona at 14% profitability, and nobody's buying that because they do not believe that can be true. As we do everything online and this property is not visited, they do not believe it, that this can be a 14%. There was such a level of fraud that people just don't trust. And that's again the question of trust and earning the trust through the new technologies. I think that's key. The future for me, well, following a bit the line of the Congress, the space as a service, that's the slogan. I think that's the idea we have to follow. Now the older operators now need to do different management, to offer different services. Everything is more digital, more dynamic. We have blockchain, and I'm speaking about big family offices or our ITs, not only individuals but companies, and they are really moving forward. And we have different brands of car sharing, blue space, and this is all space as a service, and this was not the case in residential up until now, and this is the way we want to move forward. When you go into a co-working or a hotel, you know what is the brand that is more associated to your profile, and this is the path that housing is going to take. We have co-living, we have senior co-living, you have your brand, you know what you're going to find, and this is related with the trust, because online you can do all reservations because you know what you're going to find, and this is something we have to earn from the professional sector, because there was a lot of fraud, there was lack of professionalism, and I think this is the trend that we're going to take. It is a more and more professional sector because the customer is more demanding. Well, thank you very much. I don't know whether there is any question from the audience. Hello? And thank you for this panel. It is very interesting. Maybe we could do a comparison between Barcelona or Spain versus other countries. You were speaking about a person living here and in London at the same time. How the gaps are so short here, because this also happens here. In 3 days you already sell a flat, and the part of being so digital. How do you manage to reduce the fraud impact or possibilities, mainly for foreigners who are coming to our cities? Well, truth be told, this year we've had several learning sessions, and it depends so much on the country. It is so regional. We were on a mission in Germany with the European Commissioner, and I thought, well, Germans have everything set and ready, and they do not pay with credit card, not even at a restaurant. And digitalization will come only if the user allows you to do so, because I cannot tell them to buy a 200,000 euro property online, because maybe they do not trust. But there are other countries such as Poland, Croatia, Estonia, who are really very well advanced. During this fair, I've been meeting some of them because they really ask for that, and the sector is asking for that. So I really believe it depends on the country. And in the UK, well, they already have digital models for around 5 or 6 years. They are 5, 6 years ahead of us, and also in the US. But in Europe, I think it depends on the country. It's true that there are countries that regarding PropTech, they are very well advanced. But again, in Germany, they pay in cash. They do not like to pay with credit card. And sometimes in the US, the co-living is well advanced, and they believe it's very usual to rent your house that way because they do have big brands that are well known, and the users trust them. But it's true that I wouldn't say Spain is at the end of the list in PropTech, in internet usage, and well, using the mobile phone. It's a bit hard sometimes because there is no unified criteria. If everyone would pay with WeChat, well, it's like all the banking platforms use one same app, so it doesn't matter which bank you work with, you will just have one app to pay. So it depends on the countries, because here in Spain this is more diversified, and well, there are other countries where you would believe they would use cash and they do not. I think some people wanted to have the legal certainty of making sure a transaction is going to be valid and is going to be legal, and in that sense we're a bit far away. If you go to rent with an agency or with another individual, you always need to make sure with a simple note from the registrar where you have to ask for it. That's the only way to know who is the owner. If the agency has that mandate from the owner to make sure the sale is done correctly. Any good agency, real estate agency, if you're going to pay a reservation or rent, they are going to give you the registry data and this simple note from the registrar so you can make sure everything is correct. And this should be checked on an instant manner, but for the moment this is not the case. Is there any other question? Well, otherwise, Mireia, maybe you can close this round table? Well, thank you, the three of you, I think these are three very interesting models, also in terms of how processes have been digitalized from the traditional real estate sector, because it's true that this had always been there, but now it's done in a more transparent way, reaching different profiles of users and a much more convenient way and comfortable way for the customer. Yes, we didn't reinvent the wheel. I mean, we didn't reinvent the wheel, but we've just updated it and made things easier. And we provide access to many people doing it online. It's like democratizing different things. Christina from 1001 portals, this makes things easier, right? Yes, you provide the best way or the simplest way to commercialize a property. And this is our goal, and this is our evolution towards the owner who will end up selling. And Irene, your new business models that are providing an answer to different ways of living and working, and which we'll probably see growing on an exponential way. I hope so. Thank you very much, and thank you for attending this session. Thank you, Mireia, Irene, and Christina. A big round of applause for all of them.
4 amazing people. They all listen to their clients, and it sounds incredible, but you should believe it because they actually do. So thank you to the 4 of you, really. This is the first time that somebody says that maybe we don't need all this technology. And after all, I think it's completely true. We've been organizing this conference for 2 years, and everybody for the last 2 years has been saying, we need more technology, we need more technology. And for the first time, somebody stepped up and said, no, we need to focus on clients. So as you can see, diversity, the different ways we have of looking at business, the different ways of being close to our clients, different ways we have of rationalizing technology, are all useful to listen to. That's why we strive to give everybody the space they need so as to speak their mind and promote their point of view. It's about equality, it's about diversity, but it's about opportunity as well. In this context, we've been trying as of late to increase transparency, the capacity of direct interaction with one another, and this whole sector has become more collaborative than ever. Being able to do things is more important than owning things. And as a result, I would like to thank our previous 4